We have spent centuries convincing ourselves that we are the absolute masters of this planet. We have erected skyscrapers of glass and steel that pierce the clouds, diverted the flow of ancient rivers with dams weighing millions of tons, and learned to whisper data through the vacuum of space. But beneath our feet, just a few kilometers under a dangerously thin layer of cooled crust, lies a world governed by primordial chaos. A world that does not acknowledge our laws, our engineering, or our existence. This is a realm where the pressure turns solid granite into a viscous, honey-like fluid, where temperatures reach levels that turn structural steel into a useless, glowing liquid. This is the world of magma. For decades, the global engineering community treated these high heat zones as tactical voids, areas too hostile for even our most advanced machinery to survive. To touch a magma chamber was considered a death sentence for equipment, a financial black hole, and perhaps a threat to an entire region's geological stability. But in 2026, the rules of the game changed. A group of genius engineers in Iceland decided to attempt what was deemed impossible: to drill a borehole directly into the heart of the active Krafla volcano. This is not a mere scientific curiosity. This is a $15 billion gamble on the survival of our energy-hungry civilization. But there is a problem. The physics of this place is not just difficult. It is hostile to the very concept of human presence. Before we continue this forensic autopsy of the world's hottest borehole, if you appreciate this level of technical analysis, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us continue exploring the projects that define our era. The story of this gamble did not begin in a pristine boardroom. It began with a catastrophe that was never supposed to happen. In 2009, during a routine geothermal drilling operation at a depth of exactly 2,100 meters, the world changed. The drill string, a massive column of steel rotating under immense torque, suddenly vanished into a void. Within seconds, the pressure in the system plummeted to zero. What followed was a thermal shockwave that no industrial setting had ever prepared for. The drill bit, made of hardened tungsten and cobalt steel, didn't just break, it liquefied. The casing pipes, designed to withstand the brutal heat of standard geothermal pockets, were vaporized in less than 60 seconds. The air in the control room turned heavy as the sensors screamed their final warnings before going dark. The engineers didn't realize it yet, but they had just achieved the engineering impossible. They had punctured a magma chamber that, according to every seismic map and geological survey, should have been at least 2,000 meters deeper. The magma at this point was a staggering 900 to 1,000 degrees Celsius. To understand the scale of this failure, consider the material science. The structural integrity of industrial steel begins to fail at just 500 degrees Celsius. At 1,000 degrees, it flows like water. The rig was moments away from a total blowout, a volcanic eruption through a steel pipe. But instead of sealing the well in a panic and walking away, the team realized they had stumbled upon the holy grail of energy. One single magma well could produce 10 times more power than a standard geothermal plant. It is the ultimate infinity fuel. But to tame this beast, engineers had to face the three horsemen of the technological apocalypse: extreme heat, chemical aggression, and lithostatic pressure. To understand why Iceland's attempt is so daring, we must look back at the Kola Super Deep borehole in the former Soviet Union. In the late 20th century, Soviet engineers tried to reach the Earth's mantle, reaching a record depth of 12,262 meters. But they were defeated by one thing: the plasticity of stone. At those depths, the rock was no longer a solid. It behaved like a slow-moving liquid, constantly trying to crush the borehole shut. The Soviets were stopped by temperatures of only 180 degrees Celsius. Now, Imagine trying to drill into a zone that is 5 times hotter. The Icelandic engineers had to solve the problem that stopped the Soviets, but with a thermal gradient that would melt a Soviet drill bit in minutes. This is why the $15 billion price tag is justified. We aren't just drilling a hole, we are inventing a new branch of physics. When you descend into an environment of 1,000 degrees Celsius, you are declaring war on entropy itself. At these temperatures, conventional drilling mud, the lifeblood of any borehole, simply flashes into steam, causing a catastrophic blowout that can destroy a $5 million rig in a heartbeat. The Krafla Magma Testbed, or KMT, became a battlefield for materials science. The engineering forensic analysis revealed a terrifying truth. Our modern industrial world wasn't built for the devil's heart. 1. The war of alloys. To prevent the drill bit from turning into plastic, engineers turned to tungsten carbide composites. But even these are useless without a cooling system that is a miracle of fluid dynamics. We are talking about pumping 3,000 liters of ice-cold water every single minute at pressures exceeding 300 bar. A failure in water delivery for just 30 seconds means the total melting of the entire $5 million drill string. 2. The acidic breath. Magma is not just melted rock. It is a toxic soup of sulfuric gases, fluorides, and chlorides. At 1,000 degrees, these chemicals dissolve stainless steel at a rate of several millimeters per day. The pipes don't just rust, they are eaten alive as the chemicals break down the crystalline lattice of the metal. 3. The zirconium shield. The solution came not from the Earth, but from the stars. Engineers began utilizing zirconium-based ceramic coatings, the same thermal protection used on spacecraft re-entering the atmosphere. This microscopic layer is the only thing standing between the steel heart of the machine and the acidic breath of the planet. If you're finding this deep dive into material science fascinating, make sure to hit that like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to more engineering enthusiasts. Moving a 500-ton drilling platform over a live volcanic zone is an exercise in engineering madness. The ground itself is unstable, a shifting mosaic of volcanic glass, obsidian, and cooling basalt. This is not like building a road in a stable environment. It is like building on a living, breathing organism. To build the access roads, engineers had to use geotextile reinforcement, capable of supporting the weight of 10 heavy tanks. But the true nightmare is the thermal gradient. As the drill descends, the temperature rises so fast that the cooling fluid must be chilled to near freezing before it even enters the ground. If a $12 billion tsunami wall in Japan is built to save precious minutes of evacuation time, then the $15 billion KMT project is built to save our species from an energy crisis. While Saudi Arabia pours hundreds of billions into the Neom desert city, a project often criticized for being more about ego than engineering reality. Iceland is doing something far more dangerous and tangible. They are building a bridge to the center of the Earth. Compare this to the 106-kilometer gap in the Darien jungle, where engineers failed because they couldn't even manage the mud. In Iceland, they are managing liquid fire. The scale of the ambition here makes the Pan-American Highway look like a child's sandbox project. There is a question that keeps the world's leading seismologists awake at night. What happens if we puncture a magma bubble that is under overpressure? This is the theory of the uncontrolled blowout. If the pressure inside the magma chamber exceeds the lithostatic pressure, the weight of the rock above it, the borehole becomes the barrel of a gargantuan gun. Magma, rushing up the steel pipe at supersonic speeds, would instantly vaporize the entire rig, creating a man-made volcanic eruption that could not be stopped. In 2009, when the drill first touched the magma, engineers saw a pillar of dry steam screaming out of the well at 450 degrees Celsius. It was the hottest steam ever recorded in geothermal history. It was a warning shot. We are playing with the safety valve of the planet, and the price of a mistake is not measured in dollars. It is measured in cubic kilometers of ash injected into the atmosphere, potentially triggering a localized volcanic winter. Who pays for a project that might trigger a volcano? The Icelandic government, backed by international energy consortiums, has committed over $100 million to the initial phase, with the total project cost expected to exceed $15 billion over the next 2 decades. It is a massive financial risk. For every meter we drill, the cost increases exponentially. At 2,000 meters, a single drill bit lasts 50 hours. At 2,500 meters, that same bit might only last 5 hours before the heat destroys its cutting edge. The downtime required to pull 2 kilometers of pipe out of the ground to change a bit costs $50,000 per hour. It is a money pit lined with obsidian. We often hear about green energy as a gentle, harmonious solution, windmills and solar panels, but the truth of our energy future is violent. It is industrial. It is a 1,000-degree drill bit biting into the heart of a volcano. If the KMT project succeeds, it will prove that we don't need to cover the Earth in solar panels or wind turbines. We just need to tap into the 4 billion years of heat stored beneath our feet. A single magma cluster could provide enough electricity to power the entire European continent for 1,000 years. Why do we continue? Why, after losing millions in equipment and facing the threat of a man-made eruption, does humanity refuse to blink? The answer is simple: we have no choice. Our current energy models are either exhausted or are actively destroying the climate. Magma is the holy grail. It is a clean, infinite, and terrifyingly powerful source that lies right beneath our feet. The KMT project is not just a drilling operation. It is the birth of a new civilization, one that does not fear the heat of the Earth but harnesses it. We are standing on the edge of the moment when man can finally say, "I have tamed the volcano." But for now, the steel continues to melt. The sensors continue to fail. The pressure continues to climb. And the devil in the center of Iceland continues to laugh at our most perfect alloys. If you've made it this far, you're part of the 1% who actually care about how our world is built. Subscribe now and join us for our next forensic autopsy of the world's most impossible engineering projects.